liars, although Allah knows all that before putting them to test. Mere lips profession of faith is not enough. It must be tried and tested in the real turmoil of life. The test will be applied in all kinds of circumstances in individual life and in relation to the environment around us to see whether we can strive constantly and put the Lord above self. Much pain, sorrow, and self-sacrifice may be necessary, not because they are good in themselves, but because they will purify us. Like fire applied to a goldsmith's crucible to burn out the dross. These verses also constituted an irrefutable answer to the false allegations of the disbelievers, and a clear ultimatum that smacked of the horrible consequences that would ensue in case they persisted in their disbelief. On the other hand, the noble Quran was leading the Muslims into a new world and enlightening them as to its features, the beauty of lordship, the perfection of godship, the impact of kindness and mercy, and the manifestations and the yearn for Allah's pleasure. They implicitly connoted meaningful messages carrying glad tidings of definitely approaching divine mercy, leading to eternal bliss in a blissful garden paradise. They at the same time envisaged the end of the tyrants and disbelievers, who would be brought to divine justice and then dragged through the fire when they would taste the touch of hell. Glad tidings of success. Ever since the time they experienced the adversities of life, the Muslims had been certain that entrance into the fold of Islam did not entail involvement into hardships or digging one's own grave. They had been aware that the Islamic call had one goal, viz. Extermination of pre-Islamic tradition and destroying its iniquitous system to go on parallel lines with extending its influence all over the earth and holding in firm control the political situation worldwide to lead humanity along a course conducive to Allah's pleasure and perfect enough to rid people of worshipping Allah's servant to worshipping Allah Himself. Glad tidings of this sort were being revealed, sometimes as explicitly and at other times implicitly, in a manner relevant to the situation when the Muslims were forced to undergo constraints or when their life was kept under continual restraint. There would be revealed verses telling identical stories of past prophets with their people and the sufferings and pains they had experienced. The verses would also include suggestive clues to the final strategic end of the Meccan disbelievers, envisaging their final perdition, yet at the same time bearing glad tidings to the believers and promising the true servants of vicegerency on earth to go with absolute success and victory to attend the Islamic call and its proponents. Here we could adduce some of the verses of this category pregnant with gold tidings referring to the final victory that would crown the perseverance and patience of the Muslims. And verily our word has gone forth of old for our slaves, the messengers, that they verily would be made triumphant, and that our host, that they verily would be the victors. So turn away, O Muhammad, from them for a while, and watch them, and they shall see the punishment. Do they seek to hasten on our torment? Then when it descends into their courtyard, near to them, evil will be the morning for those who had been warned. In the same context, Allah told His Prophet, their multitude will be put to fight, and they will show their backs. He also said, they will be a defeated host, like the Confederates of the old times. The Muslims who migrated to Abyssinia, Ethiopia, had the following. And as for those who immigrated for the cause of Allah, after suffering oppression, we will certainly give them goodly residence in this world, but indeed the reward of the hereafter will be greater if they but knew. In the context of the story of Joseph, there was verily in Joseph and his brethren, there were ayat, proofs, evidences, verses, lessons, signs, revelations for those who ask. The Meccans will receive the same fate that befell Joseph's brothers, viz. Failure and surrender. In another instance, Allah speaks about the messengers. And those who disbelieved said to their messenger, surely we shall drive you out of our land, or you shall return to our religion. So their Lord inspired them. Truly, we shall destroy the Zalimun, polytheists, disbelievers, and wrongdoers. And indeed, we shall make you dwell in the land after them. This is for him who fears standing before me on the day of resurrection, or fears my punishment, and also fears my threat. During the war between the Persians and the Romans, the disbelievers had a sincere wish that victory be the former's lot, because both parties professed polytheism, whereas the Muslims prayed for a Roman victory because both groups believed in Allah, His messengers' books, the revelations, and the hereafter. The war resulted in the overthrow of Rome by Persia. They were pro-Persian, as we have said, and in their hearts they hoped that the nascent movement of Islam, which at that time was from a worldly point of view,